That's why you see people from the west, that is from Yoruba states, going for schools that are also in the west, and those of you that are from the east going for schools that are in the east, because those schools that they will reduce the cutoff mark for their own people. They will reduce the cutoff mark a bit for their own people. Hope you understand. Hello guys, welcome back to Chubby Chemistry Stories. I'm sure you are very happy right now because you have checked your result and you got up to 250. You have checked your result and you scored up to 300. While some people are still scared to check their JAMB result because they are scared of failing, and they are like, if I fail this JAMB now, what will I tell my parents? How will I secure another money to register for another JAMB next year? Don't worry, JAMB is not the end of life. JAMB is just an exam. It doesn't determine what you'll be in future. So for those of you that did well in your exams, for those of you that scored up to 250, 270, 280, 300, and I'm so proud of you, and I will continue rooting for you till you get admitted into the university. Okay guys, in this video we'll be talking about something very important, and what is that? We'll be talking about 3 things that most of you don't actually know. You guys just know JAMB cutoff mark, but you don't know how it actually works. So in this video I'll be telling you guys certain things that you must know, because it will be helpful for you to get admitted into school. And what are those things? You need to know what JAMB cutoff mark is. You need to know what school cutoff mark is. And finally, you need to know what course cutoff mark is. So I'll be explaining all that in this video. So let's get straight to it, guys. I'm sure most of you have seen your JAMB result, and as well I'm so excited for you guys. So if you have seen your JAMB result, drop what you got in your JAMB result. Drop it in the comment section alongside the school you are trying to get into and also the course you are trying to get into. I want to see what my subscribers got. So let's get straight to it, guys. So first of all, we'll be talking about JAMB cutoff mark. What is JAMB cutoff mark? JAMB cutoff mark is that particular mark that you need to meet up with before any school will consider you for admission. You know, we have federal universities, state universities, then polytechnics, and then College of Education. All these schools, all these tertiary institutions, all have different JAMB cutoff marks. So for federal and state universities, their own cutoff marks are usually higher than those of College of Education and Polytechnic. Hope you understand. So there was a rumor this year that more than 1.5 million people didn't score up to 200 in this year's JAMB. So definitely JAMB cutoff mark for this year should be around 150 to 180. There is no way JAMB cutoff mark will ever be below 150. So definitely for this year, the JAMB cutoff mark should be 150 to 180. So for those of you that scored up to 200, congratulations to you, because all the schools in this country will consider you for admission. So that will take us to the next phase of this video, and what is that? What is school cutoff mark? Most of you are mixing JAMB cutoff mark with school cutoff mark. So what is school cutoff mark? School cutoff mark is that particular mark that school have said, oh, this is what we will use. Despite JAMB saying that the cutoff mark for this year is 160 or maybe 180, we will not abide by what JAMB says. We're going to have our own different cutoff mark. So some schools like UNIben, UNILAG, most times their cutoff mark is usually 200. For those of you that didn't score up to 180, there is still another alternative which I will be making known to you guys in my next video. So that's why it's important that you click on that red subscribe button, so that when I post the video you'll be able to see it and know what else to do. Schools like UNILAG, a lot of people are trying to get into UNILAG, so they will try to raise their own cutoff mark a bit higher so that they will be able to eliminate some people that are not qualified to get into the school. So that's why some schools will actually raise their cutoff mark above JAMB cutoff mark. So it's very important that you go through all those things to be sure that, oh, my school cutoff mark is actually 180, so I don't start saying, oh, at the end of the day, if you don't get admitted, you start feeling disappointed. So that's why it's very important to check all those things before applying for any school. So moving on to the most important one, which is what is course cutoff mark. Course cutoff mark is the cutoff mark for any particular course you are trying to get into in any school. So after meeting up with JAMB cutoff mark and then meeting up with school cutoff mark, the next thing is course cutoff mark. All the departments that are in a school have their own cutoff marks. So for instance, if you are trying to get into biochemistry or you are trying to get into dentistry has their own cutoff mark. Biochemistry has their own cutoff mark. So you must meet up with that departmental cutoff mark before you say, oh, I'm sure that I will be getting admitted into this school. And right now, the cutoff marks for most schools are not yet out. So it's too early to start asking what is the cutoff mark for nursing in UNIZIK? What's the cutoff mark for dentistry in UNIBEN? What's the cutoff mark for biochemistry in UNILAG? Because right now the cutoff marks are not yet out. Most times for those schools that take post UTME, the cutoff mark usually come out after post UTME exam. So that's why you can't get the actual cutoff mark for any course right now till they are done with their post UTME. And for those schools that doesn't take post UTME, they will judge you based on what you got in your WAEC and then what you got in your JAMB. That's schools that do only online screening. That's how they judge you. So for those of you that apply to schools that doesn't take post UTME, right now the cutoff mark is still not out. You will need to judge yourself based on the cutoff mark they used last year. But that doesn't mean that the cutoff mark they used last year will be the same cutoff mark that they will use this year. Most schools release the cutoff mark for their department based on that year's JAMB. For this year, you guys know that the performance was not actually cool. So definitely most schools, their cutoff mark will reduce a bit compared to what they used last year. So cutoff marks for most schools, for most departments, for most schools are not yet out. So definitely around August, September, that's when most schools will start releasing the cutoff mark for this year. So any cutoff mark you are seeing right now is the cutoff mark the school used last year. Hope you guys understand. So there's another thing called catchment. Despite saying that okay, the cutoff mark for nursing for this year will be 250 or 260 or 270. If you fall under catchment, what do they call catchment? Catchment is if you are trying to apply for schools that are in the West. West is Yoruba State. So if maybe you are trying to get into UNILAG and you are from Osun State, Oyo State, Ondo State, and Ogun State, they might reduce the cutoff mark a bit for you guys. That's why you see people from the West, that is from Yoruba State, going for schools that are also in the West, and those of you that are from the East going for schools that are in the East, because those schools that they will reduce the cutoff mark for their own people. They will reduce the cutoff mark a bit for their own people. Hope you understand. So guys, that's the end of the video for today. See you guys in my next video.